Let's start with some physical aspects of the system, and the best way is always to start at the top. That is indeed a 12x poly camera up top, designed for fantastic zoom capability and clarity. And for those that are out buying cheaper cameras on the market with plastic lenses, this is a truly optical wonder, and it's quite a good camera. With that, there's a 24-inch touchscreen medical grade monitor on the front here, allowing you to quickly and easily clean the system if that's an appropriate part of your particular healthcare setting. Past that, we also have in the back, you can see how nicely we've housed all of the electronics. This system, as you're looking at it, actually it handles all of the electronics that normally you would find in a cart-based system. So in the back here, we have the G7500 housed. We also have the additional remote controller that we'll talk about shortly. But most importantly, we have a 100 millimeter by 100 millimeter Visa mount, allowing this entire unit to be taken off this stand and easily put onto a wall, perhaps onto an articulating arm, and or onto any cart that you so desire. Now, from a poly standpoint, we prefer the Capsa Trio system, which is a brand new cart from Capsa, the country's largest cart manufacturer for healthcare. But we'll talk about that in just a few moments. So with that, those are a lot of the things we wanted to chat about from a physical standpoint. Now I want to move into some of the internals, or the brain of the unit, which is the G7500 Codec from Poly. And in that environment, and this is really for the network fans out there, this is an appliance-based codec. So it purposely is not a PC-based codec. And in that environment, it allows you to quite nicely keep the system on all the time. It will indeed go to sleep. The camera actually spins to the back when it is asleep, but if anybody goes up and touches the unit, it will awaken immediately, so you don't have to wait for it to boot up. We don't have any applications that we have to update down the road and so forth. It's not like a PC where we have to keep up with Windows and so forth. And it also allows us to do a lot of work with one-touch capability, which is highly important in a fast-paced workflow in a healthcare setting. But getting back to the G7500, it will work in what is referred to as SIP mode, which is the standards based out there today. 323, it'll work, works very well in that mode as well. And then it also allows you to work in partner mode. And this is incredibly important because it's one of the only units in the world that can do this. It'll actually allow Zoom, the folks at GoToMeeting, Ring Central, and even Starleaf to be put into the system directly. In other words, if we put Zoom into the back from a network standpoint, we can actually bring up the Zoom control on the screen here and run the unit as a native Zoom platform. So a very exciting capability there. Along the same idea, you also have device mode right here. So when you push that button, you can have also bring a PC. So if I brought a PC with me right now and I wanted to push the button on device mode, I now can use the camera, the monitor, and the audio subsystem of the Poly Telehealth Station as part of that video encounter and so forth. So it allows you as an end user to have multiple network application capabilities should things change dynamically within your organization. You're not buying just one capability out the door. From an audio standpoint, of course, we want to make sure we talk about a lot of the very special features at Poly. One is M mode, which allows us to plug in our stethoscope and physically mute everybody in the room here while we are sending that auscultation to the other side. An incredibly rich feature there for the whole use of digital stethoscopes. Poly also known in the industry for things like noise block, which means I can take out background typing noises and sustain mechanical noises out of the audio stream, or their fantastic acoustic fence, which allows me to actually create, if you remember the old Get Smart world, almost a dome of silence kind of arrangement. Think about that in perhaps an ICU setting, or other applications, again, in and around the medical facilities. So with that, let's move on now to clinical access. With that, the first unit I want to bring up is the GEDMED horoscope. It is without a doubt the industry leading scope. It will plug directly into the Poly Telehealth Station through an HDMI connection. The GEDMED horoscope is very unique in that it has interchangeable lenses. So while this is a general lens, you also can plug in, be it an otoscope lens, a derm scope, an ophthalmoscope, an anterior lens. It even has a dental lens. So one camera, multiple lenses, very unique in the industry, works just fine with the Poly Telehealth Station. As we move on to digital stethoscopes, again, one of our favorite is the new product from GEDMED, referred to as the Omni Staff. And the way to use it with the Poly Telehealth Station is to simply take the 3.5 millimeter cable and plug it directly into the front of the unit. When you're done, you just unplug. And again, these headphones are for the attending technician or physician who's sitting here with the client, or the patient, I should say. And it's just a very simple plug into the unit. You'd be hard-pressed to find a scope or digital stethoscope on the market that won't work just fine with the Poly Telehealth Station. Okay, moving on to some the last point there is we can also bring our PC or our laptop in, plug it in directly into the side of the unit. As we talked about earlier, for device mode and so forth. You'll find, again, the power cable here and some additional HDMIs and things of that nature. One of the other really good features of the Poly Telehealth system is its tethered control system, and let's talk about that for a second. It stays contained here on the back side of the system. Let me take just a second to zoom in. It is designed to make a single button push for things like the horoscope that we just took a look at. Perhaps your PC. You can also do video mute on the system. Your stethoscope can be only one button push away, or we can mute the system. We can answer the system or hang up the system with these color-coded buttons up top. And up top is our capability to move the cameras and so forth and turn on and off self-view. With that, let's put the control system back up. From an application standpoint, folks, the bottom line is it's almost any application within a healthcare setting: neurology, stroke, behavioral health, you name it. Anytime you're moving from a clinical to or trying to talk from a clinic to a tertiary care facility, perhaps it's from the home to a tertiary care facility. This would be the product at the tertiary care side, perhaps clinic to clinic. So the capabilities go on and on.